Hello, and welcome to the 61st. No, that was last time. Welcome to the 62nd episode of the But I'm Knitting podcast. My name is Ramona. I'm a knitter from Toronto, and welcome to my corner of the crafting world. I'm not certain if it's been 3 weeks or maybe 4 weeks since I last did my last episode. I really don't remember. I think it's 3, because when I looked last week, it was 2. My intention was to put up an episode last week, and I just kind of ended up not doing it. But it's not that I haven't done anything, I just haven't done as much knitting as I had wanted to, specifically on one project. So I'll just get it quite clearly out of the way. Or actually, hold on. Reverse. So this week there will be talk about works in progress, new cast-ons. There's no finished objects, and new dyes and plans for what I just dyed. So let's get back to what I was talking about before. So I have my shawl. Hold on. I'm actually going to have to take it out here because I cannot remember what it's called because I have not worked on it in so long. It's been over a month. It is... Hold on. It's the Sparks of Grey shawl by Melanie Berg. I have not put a single stitch on it since the last time you have seen it. It's in the exact same state. That's the first time the pattern has even made it out of the bag the entire time, so there's no point in really taking it out of the bag to show anything because nothing has changed. So that's that. We'll forget about that. I found the sock that I was working on that I didn't put up last episode because I had misplaced it. I don't know if I had worked on it since. I can't quite remember, but I'll show you where it is right now. I'm still on the first sock. Ooh, I found tissue. I was wondering where that went to. Alright, that was in my little knitting bag. I got this from... Tangle Skeins CA Etsy shop. Yeah, love this bag. Cute little bag. I just put that's my usual carry-on, my one sock project. So this is where I am so far. I worked cuff down, the heels in, and so now I am on the foot. The yarn I'm using is Patton's Croy. Hold on. For the heel cuffs and toes, I'm using, I think it's Gentleman's Gray. Oh, sorry, Gentry Gray. I don't know if you can see that. Let's try that now. Where is it? Right there. Gentry Gray. It's a charcoal type color. And the other one I'm using for my main body is Sweet Stripes Patton's Croy socks. So, hold on. You can see that. See, Sweet Stripes. So, I'm still on the first sock. Haven't even done much past that. And one moment. Sorry about that. That was a phone call I had to take. Okay, so... Oh, that's where I was. I did have a little stitch marker on it. So, last time you had seen it, I hadn't started the heel. And then I put in my little robot key progress. Put in the heel. Did a little bit of the foot. That's everything for this one. I really do like the way the patterns are working up on this. It's really nice. The needles I'm using, I think these are a 1 US, Xiaogu circular. Yeah, the red lace ones. So that's that. So that's one. My other work in progress. See if I can remember this because I have it written down. Not written down. I have the page loaded up on my phone. This is the Candyman socks by... Hold on. Paper Daisy Creations. Yeah. So, no, go back up here so I'm set up for the rest of it. Sorry. By Paper Daisy Creations. It was a part of our Socks of Wonka collection. So, I had actually finished one of the socks. I just realized I forgot to put the sock in. Hold on. Okay. So, here it is on the sock blocker. I realized afterwards I had made some mistakes when I was reading the pattern myself. I wasn't fully paying attention. So, this part here is supposed to be longer. And I should be able to go a lot further with this, and I ended up not doing it, and now the sock is shorter than I want it to be. But it is what it is. I do like it, so I'm just making the second sock to match, which is in progress here. So I'm on the toe. I'm getting close to the gusset. that I'll be adding in for that one. So I'm using I think it's a 1.5 US Xiaogu. They're actually quite loose. They're looser than what I'm used to. So I think if I ever try these again, I'm going to drop down a needle size because I don't like them. My socks are not usually this loose. So I'm going to make sure I make a concerted effort to change the size next time. So last time you had seen these socks, I was there, partway through the leg design. And so then I finished off the sock. The leg has actual amount of stretch. The bind off has enough stretch, which I'm happy about because that's the one thing I'm always worried about with toe-up socks. And then I started the second sock. The yarn that I'm using is yarn that I dyed myself. This just marks where I started my gusset increases so I can match it up. So it's all yarn that I've dyed myself. My lovely orange color. I love this color. And then afterwards, this is one of the thrown in the pot type things. And let's see what pops out. And it was that color. So I use that for the heel cuffs and toes. I think it's a really nice contrast. So I don't know if this ball will be enough to finish off everything for this sock, or if I'm going to have to go into the other half of the ball. This yarn was the one that chewed up and gave me the last gasp of my ball winder, so it is what it is. Yeah, so the only thing I messed up on, like other than the how long I was supposed to do the design for, was there's supposed to be a seam on the side, and it's just a stitch detail on the way that you follow the pattern. Somehow or another, I forgot that I was doing it, and I messed up. So now my seam isn't like a pretty, orange seam going all the way up. It now has a different color stitch in the middle of it, but it is what it is. But I really do love this pattern. I think it's beautiful. I'm looking forward to finishing it and working on the rest of the socks in the pattern. Okay, so my next one is a new cast on to you. I've been working on it for a while. This is hold on. I have it all like listed on my phone. This is the Golden Ticket by Paper Daisy Creations as well. So I'm still on the first sock. To toe up as well. I started on, so it's toe up, and you can see the design there. I couldn't quite find the yarn exactly as I wanted. I was looking for something a little bit more of a yellowish hue so it could look a little bit more golden, but I couldn't find what I was looking for, and I didn't have the energy I didn't want to dye anything else for it, so I just kept it. I went with this brown. I like the color. Actually, I think the original picture is almost a color that's like this. So here it is. It still feels big. I use the same needle size because that was recommended. Next time I'm going for a smaller size. So I have the foot done. I love the design on it. I think it's so cool. This one does take a little bit of concentration when looking on the thing to remember where I'm supposed to be on it. It's still only knits and purls, but it looks nice. And afterwards, I put in the cuff, not the cuff. I did my gusset increases, I did my heel flap and gusset, and now I am on the leg. So I'm still working my way up. I'm gonna make a conscious effort not to shorten this one too much. I'm going to make it as long as I feel the need to do it, and because of that, and because this pattern is going to take me quite a bit longer to do it, but I'm up to the task. That's okay with me. So this is the Golden Ticket. Done. That is it for my current works in progress. So for this one, now these are kind of related to the Socks of Wonka because I got two more. I decided from this entire collection I'm going to do yarn that I dyed myself because that's what I want to do. So after that, then I'm going to, after I do that, then I'm going to show you other yarn that I dyed for completely different reasons. Okay, so the next in her collection, because I've now gotten all 4 of the sock patterns, the next one in her collection is the Effervescent Socks. It's a lacy type of design, very simple, and hers has a speckle design. I'll try and put up a picture so that you can get to see what it looks like. So it's like a speckly design. Not speckly design. The yarn she uses is a speckle based, but it's like kind of like a lacy design. It kind of reminds me of the Tulip Socks by Cookie A. But this is from like the sock club from like 2013 or something like that I did. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it turns out with. So because of this, I decided I was going to take the opportunity to try dyeing with sprinkles. So I went to the grocery store. I saw the sprinkles there. I remember I looked up Chemknit's tutorials because she actually did something on I did a one. She did one on space dyeing, not space dyeing, solar dyeing. That's what it was. So the dye is not react in the sun. Like, there are dyes that can do that, but it was basically all done in a mason jar, and then put the colors in, and you sit it in there with your acid and let it fill up and see how long it goes. So instead of putting, like, with her, she used like blue and yellow. I don't remember if it was acid dye or food coloring, one of the two. I just put in sprinkles. I put them in randomly in different spots. Added in more water, pushed it down, added in more sprinkles, and continued going. And I came up with this. I'm not certain. I wasn't certain before if I liked it, but now that I look at it, the more that I look at it, I am liking it. So it's actually very, very pale. It's much paler than I anticipated, but I actually really, really like it. So you can see it's on a white base. Sorry, my nose is a bit itchy. So it's an 80/20 sock. And then you could see like little speckles of color, mostly like pinks and blues and a little bit of green and a little bit of yellow, but you can't really see them all that much. But they do pop up. It's very, very faint. But I think this would work very well, mostly due to the fact that it can never detract from the pattern. That is for sure. I'm opening it up now just to show, because it didn't really speckle. It's more like it smeared or smushed. Take a pick. So, but it did turn out okay. And like, oh, that part there, you can get to see a little bit more actual speckles. Or am I just making it up in my mind? I don't know. But I do like it. I do like it. I was thinking of going back over it and doing more. But I decided I'm just going to leave it as is. And I'm going to finish these two pairs of socks before I cast the next one on. Or at least finish one pair before I cast the next one on. So this is going to be for my effervescent sock. So that's the yarn for that. So that's one. The next sock in her pattern collection is called the Everlasting Sock, based on the Everlasting Gobstopper. So for this one, I decided I was going to do self-striping yarn. I've been talking about doing self-striping yarn for look how long. But as I was doing it, I realized I made a mistake with how I was doing it. I had planned out my colors and everything. But since I don't have a warping board, I never pulled out my pegboard, which is another method that I've used, and I didn't want to go to my kitchen and pull out chairs and shoo my family away from the kitchen so I can get to, try and do it on the chairs, because I've seen other people do that for that. I found a way, and I basically realized that if I did, actually I'll just use this skein as an example. So when I did the skeins, when they were 50%, like 50 half, so like one half of the skein is one color, that gave me about one row and a little bit of color when I knitted it up. So I determined, okay, so if I do two of those, and afterwards I measured how long that was on my arm, and it turned out this is about the one. So if I did two, that works out to be approximately 2 stripes. So I wrapped up my yarn like that, but then of course I got nothing to, so as I wrapped up my yarn for the amount of loops that I needed for one color repeat, that's how it was supposed to be. And then I basically took the yarn, I already had it in a ball, and I basically wound it out, and I tried to measure it and keep it all together. However, I realized afterwards that I did not take into account, you can no longer find the hole in the yarn, so to speak. So when you have a skein of yarn, you can always find, the center of it, so to speak. You can always find the middle, that's the hole. I couldn't find that. It was pretty much like all like this, and I couldn't find the center of it. So I decided to take the entire thing, and just basically it would be a colorway that would go one way and then repeat itself on the way back. So that's what I did. So the color repeats now look like they're going to be too short. Now the color repeats, but each color in each repeat will be too short. But you know what? I'm going to make do with what I have. I haven't figured out what solid I'm going to do with it, but because it's a two color sock pattern. There you go. So this is the ball of yarn so far. I rolled it in this method, number one, because I didn't have access to baking a cake because of my ball winder not working. But also, when I saw this online a few years ago, and I did it one of the first few times I did self-striping, was I think it was Susan B. Anderson who had put it up on Instagram, or maybe I had seen it on her YouTube video. I'm not certain. But it's a way of doing self-striping yarn, so you can really get to see all of the different colors that are in it. So it's like every time there'd be a color change as you're winding the yarn, you'd stop, turn in a different direction, and continue going. It didn't work out too well on this because the color repeats were very, very short. Like, it's only like the yellow ones that were pretty quick. So, I just took it anyway. So let me just tell you about the yarn right now. So it's an 80-20 sock, obviously. So it starts out with yellow, it goes to gray, and then I think it goes to orange. Yeah, it goes to orange, then it goes to gray again, and then it goes to pink, it goes to gray, and it goes to purple, and it goes to gray, and then it just reverses itself on the way back. So I'm hoping this turns out nicely. I don't know when I'm going to start this one, but the yarn's prepared for it. Maybe when I finish the second pair, then I'll pull this one out and start doing it. I was debating whether or not I was going to do... No, actually, I think I really am. Either I'm going to dye a solid that doesn't match it, so it would either be black or white to go along with this, but I have an undyed white one just sitting down there. So that would make it easy, and it's already prepared if I wanted to do it that way. I think I'm going to put this back on my... what's it called? Skein winder. Yes, I'm going to put it back on my skein winder and turn it into a hank so that I have it prepared. It doesn't have to stay in this state until I'm ready to use it. So that's my sock yarn for my 2 sock things that I dyed for this week. Yay! So that takes care of all of the socks that I'm doing. So they all there's intentions for them. Putting that one down. Next, I didn't go to Rhinebeck. I've never been to Rhinebeck, so I can't really complain all that much until I actually get a chance to go. But one of my, I guess, online friends, I have her on Instagram, she was going, and she was working like crazy to finish her Rhinebeck sweater, Sarah Nova Crafts. So she was working on it, and in her Instagram, you could see her working on it furiously in the car, and she managed to finish it by the time she reached to Rhinebeck. I don't know if she finished it like on the way there or like right when she reached there, if it was by the Saturday morning it was done. But there were a few strings hanging off, but I looked at the sweater and I loved it. I didn't even wait for her to, I showed the picture to my aunt, like, oh, that's really nice. And immediately I went and I purchased the pattern. So hold on, let me get it out. What? Oh, there it is. So the name of the pattern is called Persistence is Key. It's by Amanda Woger. So it's a cabled cardigan. So I want to do this one for myself. It takes how many yards? I can't remember how many yards. I'm not trying to download it. I just want to go into my... Sorry. Take me to the pattern page. Okay. So it's worsted weight. And when I worked it out, it said I would pretty much need 8 skeins of worsted weight. So I decided I was going to dye it. I was questioning as to what colors I was using because honestly, other than black, that's the only one that I have a huge quantity of dye for. I didn't want to do black. I refused to do black. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do the purple color and hopefully I'll have enough. I had enough, but no, I did not have enough. Let's be honest, I did not have enough. I had a good amount. The pattern by working out the yardage would take 8, and they're like 220. Each skein is about 220 yards, I think. Sorry, it was a Knit Picks Bear that I was using. Knit Picks Peruvian Highland wool. So it's 220 yards for this. 220 yards for each one. So yeah, which should take about 8 based on the size I would need. So I did it. And I'll show you the first set that turned out perfect. I love the color that they turned out. It was great. There's variation. There's tonal variations in it. It's actually lighter than what it's showing in the thing. So this is 4 skeins right here. I forgot to take into account, oh wow, they look so drastically different even between skeins that were dyed in the same pot. Wow. Okay, so maybe it won't be so weird. So this was my first 4 skeins for this project. So this one apparently is a lot darker. It didn't look like that. Most of the skeins look like this one, right? So there's the first 4. They worked out fine. After I finished doing them, I said, okay, let me put in the second 4. And as I'm scooping out the dye powder, and I'm trying to put it in there, I scraped as much as I could, because this one used 4, I can't remember the amount, but it was four of my spoonfuls that I was using. We'll just call it a spoonful. So it's 4 spoonfuls that it took for this one, and I got the color that I wanted. When I tried to do that for the second batch, because I could not do them all at one time, I only had enough for 3 spoonfuls. So it doesn't match. So this is the second set of 4. It's much, much lighter. So let's try this, if I can get them all in one picture. So this is the one that had the full 4. This is the one that had the 3. So this is all of the yarn that I'm going to need for this sweater. So my solution to this problem is I'm going to have to alternate the light set with the dark set. And see how much, yeah, the light set with the dark set, and see how much I can get out of that one to be able to finish the sweater the way that I want it to be done. I'm not going to get started on it yet. I have to clear up what I've got. Yeah, so maybe next year I'll start it, early next year. I haven't quite decided. So I'm going to put it aside, look for the right size needle. Like, I'm going to do gauge swatch and everything. I'm determined not to make any mistakes because I have not finished the sweater still. I still have that one that all he needs to do is finish the sleeve and put in the band collar. Still haven't done that. Yeah, so that is going to be it for all of my projects that I'm working on. So that's all of my projects that I've been working on, that I casted on, that I dyed. I actually feel like for the 3 weeks, I actually did a lot. Like last week, I did a lot. Just not as much knitting as I had wanted to. So that's it for that kind of stuff. Yeah, so actually I'm going to leave it at that, because right now I'm looking at the time and it says I've done 18 minutes, but that's since I stopped to do that phone call. So I'm not certain how long this is going to go, and my tablet doesn't really like putting up more than 15 minutes at a time to YouTube. So I'm going to cross my fingers that this all goes well, and that nothing needs to be split, and when in doubt, I'll try and do it through my computer and see if maybe I might be able to get the full-fledged video, because right now I'm practically at 20 minutes from this time recording. So that is everything. I hope to see you again next time, and maybe I'll have something else to show you. So bye!